Hold on. There.
Good evening, beloveds. I'm Reverend Paul Savoy, and I'm coming to you from the sanctuary of the San Diego Church in Arcadia, California. And I am so very happy to join me this evening for a few moments of stillness, reflection, and learning. So wherever you are, please sit, be comfortable, and let's take a brief metaphysical journey together. A couple of weeks ago, a very dear friend posted this plaintive message on social media. She wrote, quote, "This has been one of the hardest seasons of my life. I keep telling myself after the phoenix bursts into flames, it is reborn. I keep waiting for the rebirth part because the flames part really sucks." Unquote. And I think that so many of us today can relate to these sentiments, both as individuals and collectively. And as we continue to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, on the one hand, we have so very much to celebrate regarding the unfolding of the infinitely bold American experiment, while at the same time, we also experience a growing sense of unease, uncertainty, and like over a wide variety of ongoing political, economic, social, cultural, and technological challenges, causing some to wonder what the U.S. as a whole can do as an encore in the next 250 years to further evolve into the more perfect union that the authors of the U.S. Constitution aspired to when creating that profound document during a very hot, humid summer in Philadelphia in 1787. Now, I responded to my friend's post by saying this, quote, "Rebirth is inevitable. You will rise and transcend anew. In the meantime, keep doing what I know that you do. Continue to find joy and hope in the simple things from day to day. In these times especially, such joy demonstrates resistance and promotes healing and resilience." Unquote. And while I didn't say this to her in the moment, I came to realize that our ability to find joy, healing, and resilience in the ordinary activities of life is a significant part of the legacy of freedom bequeathed to us by the founders of this nation. And I later learned that my message to my friend is an example of practicing this thing called respair. And in case you're unclear on the spelling, it's R-E-S-P-A-I-R, respair. And respair is a rare and obsolete English word dating back to the year 1500 that means fresh hope, a recovery from despair. It serves as the exact positive opposite to despair, representing the return of optimism and resilience after a period of hardship or difficulty. So in other words, it's what should be happening during the flames part and before the transformation begins. So for a few moments, let us explore some potential sources of hope or despair as we live from day to day during these trying and potentially transformational times. So, please settle into the safe space that you are currently occupying and be comfortable. Feel the chair that supports your body and the floor that grounds you to the earth. And if you feel safe in doing so, you may close your eyes or simply soften your gaze. Take a slow, easy breath. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And again. And as you continue to breathe, be aware of its gentle, consistent, and effortless rhythm, and feel how it synchronizes with the steady, rhythmic beating your heart. There is no effort for you to accomplish this. It simply happens. These rhythms, your breath, and your heartbeat are the soundtrack and motive force of your being, your constant companion and reminder of the miracle of existence that is you. Be with the symphony of life for a moment as you continue to breathe gently and without thought. In a profound way, this phenomenon that you know as your daily existence is truly magic. Now, as you continue to breathe, slowly begin to expand your awareness of the present moment. Notice all the sounds, notice sensations in your current surroundings, and please be aware of the infinitely loving energy that is flowing from me to you in this moment. And as you experience all of this, allow it to gradually fade into the background of your consciousness. In this moment, there are no concerns, worries, or pressures. If random thoughts come, simply acknowledge them and allow them to just fade away. And if you're holding any tensions in your body from recent days and circumstances, especially in your shoulders, jaw, and neck, allow your body to relax and release all discomfort. Surrender to the peace, calm, and stillness that is lovingly enveloping you. You have your life. And as you continue to experience all of this, listen again to my friend's social media post. She says, "This has been one of the hardest seasons of my life. I keep telling myself after the phoenix bursts into flames, it is reborn. I keep waiting for the rebirth part because the flames part really sucks." Now, the flames part she describes sounds a lot like the phenomenon known as the messy middle, described by Professor and author Brené Brown. Brown describes the messy middle as the uncomfortable, liminal space between a beginning and an end, often metaphorically called day two, where the initial thrill wears off, turning back is impossible, and the end is not yet in sight. She emphasizes that while this phase is defined by chaos, uncertainty, and vulnerability, it is also a non-negotiable part of the process of growth and transformation. And these days, especially, overcoming the flames part can feel particularly overwhelming. But don't worry, hope or despair is possible. According to Brené Brown, we must always remember to first embrace discomfort. You cannot go around the difficult parts of a transition. You have to go through them. This requires leaning into vulnerability and sitting with the unknown rather than prematurely calling something over just to avoid discomfort. And this sentiment is echoed by the ancient Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He writes, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you have now was once the thing among the things that you only hoped for." For him, and for Brené Brown, the good life was not about avoiding every hardship, but about developing the wisdom to face challenges calmly. And when you think about it, this is resilience in the truest sense of the term. And it represents a profound hope. At the same time, though, it should be noted that for so many of us, the sort of vulnerability needed to navigate our current historical moment can sometimes feel too much. Remember, safety should always come first. Always maintain those necessary boundaries. The next factor for overcoming the messy middle and bringing about a sense of hope and eventual transformation for Brown is to go where the magic happens, and that is in the messy middle. Despite the frustration and tension, the messy middle is where profound learning occurs. It's messy, but it is the source of the magic. Now, some people have asked me, is this notion even relevant in our present day, in 2026? Are things so out of control, so disjointed now, that this method of seeking the messy middle and being open and vulnerable to hope and transformation, can this still work? Brene Brown would argue that it can, and I agree. Because Brown most often talked about this notion of the messy middle as a path of transformation back in 2020. Specifically, when the U.S. was experiencing the early months of the COVID lockdown, combined with a nationwide racial reckoning stemming from the murder of George Floyd. Hope exists, even in the darkest times, and when outcomes are at best uncertain. What worked in 2020 can work in 2026. And Brown's final key for success in this process is seeking connection. Because no one escapes the turbulence of transformation, Brown suggests we should all stumble through the darkness together. Relying on support systems helps you survive the grind and use the experience as a foundation for future resilience. Beloveds, hope then is the key to successfully weathering the messy middle and moving forward to transformation. Whether we're talking about challenges in our individual lives or in our collective experience as folks living in the United States. And the words of the Reverend Allison Burns LaGreca, quote, "As I write these words, I am keenly aware that somewhere another family is grieving, another community is praying through heartbreak. Holding on to hope has never required pretending suffering does not exist. Hope is something else entirely. Hope is choosing to believe that love is still worthy of our attention. It is deciding that compassion deserves as much of our imagination as cruelty. It is training our hearts to recognize the quiet work of spirit until we begin joining it ourselves." Unquote. But how else can hope or despair be nurtured as we traverse through the messy middle? Consider the daily spiritual practice that I call learning to notice God in motion. But first, by way of introduction, the Reverend Burns LaGreca reminds us of this. She writes, "Some mornings I open the news with hesitation. I already know what I'm likely to find. Another war, another act of cruelty, another community grieving, another reason to wonder how the human heart can hold so much violence. These stories matter. We dare not look away from suffering. compassion asks us to bear witness. But here's the key point. She also writes, I have learned something else over the years. Darkness is loud. Goodness is often quiet. Mercy rarely trends. Kindness seldom becomes breaking news. The people quietly feeding neighbors, planting gardens, painting murals, protecting oceans, welcoming strangers, and rebuilding communities rarely find themselves on the front page. Yet I have come to believe that these quieter stories reveal something just as true about the world. The kingdom of God has never relied upon headlines. It has always arrived in small acts of love. And with all this in mind, here now is a daily practice to recognize those small acts of love that can begin to transform the world and move us through the messy middle, one person at a time. Each morning, as you awaken, say this very brief prayer. Spirit, help me notice where you are already at work today. Listen to that again. Spirit, help me notice where you are already at work today. And as you move through your day, be looking for examples, both big and small, of individuals and or groups of people trying to make a difference in some aspect of the world. It could be some global effort, a national action, or something happening within your neighborhood, in the other room of your house. And at the end of the day, briefly write down 3 examples of difference-making actions that you have either observed or heard about during the day, whether big or small, and say a brief prayer of gratitude for those loving actions and for the people engaging in them. Consider ending your prayer with this affirmation. You are love in action and God in motion. Let it be. And so it is. Amen. And as you continue to breathe and you begin to return to the physical space that you currently occupy, please consider how you can incorporate this daily practice into your life. It doesn't take much time. It just takes an enhanced sense of awareness to move about your activities from day to day and to practice that great sense of gratitude always. Please now take one deep cleansing breath, and when you are ready, you may open your eyes. And if you would like to talk with me about this evening's meditation or anything else that might be on your heart, please feel free to give me a call at area code 626-379-1778 or send me an email at psavoy626@gmail.com. That again is PSA, V as in Victor, OIE626@gmail.com. Also, if you happen to find yourself in the immediate vicinity of the Sandia Church in Arcadia, you are wholeheartedly invited to join our weekly conversation service at 7 p.m. That's just in about 40 minutes from now in our sanctuary. This 1-hour service is a wonderful opportunity to share your joys and challenges, ask questions, think, and be inspired by some truly amazing folks. Reverend Gina will be back with you next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific Time for another Facebook Live meditation. For now, I'm Reverend Paul Savoy, reminding you that you are beloved. You are enough. You are not alone. You are love in action and God in motion. Have a lovely evening.